should have a little clapboard. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of DV Live City Talk. I'm Amanda Acom, the marketing coordinator here at Desert Valleys Federal Credit Union. And before we dive on in, make sure you hit that subscribe button, share this video, like this video so you can join the conversation. And it's the halftime report.
I'm back.
You're here.
It's back.
I let you in.
Yeah,
Hello.
I took a pretty good long sabbatical from being part of City Talk. We've got so many things going on, so many important people to share their stories, and we're just excited to be able to bring so many of the stories about what's going on, so many of the good things that are happening here in Ridgecrest. And
I just can't believe we're already halfway through the year.
We're already halfway through the year. We've got so many projects moving forward, and I really think people are starting to see that the investment that we committed to is really starting to happen around this community. So I'm very excited to see that.
So I know that we can get off onto a ton of different tangents. So I'm actually setting a timer today for both of us, just to have a little bit of fun.
We're going to keep the mayor to a limited number of words.
Yes. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're gonna see.
I don't know. Somebody tells me I'm a little verbose every now and then. So.
Well, we're just gonna hit start right now.
Yeah. Okay.
And we're just gonna dive on in. I feel like everybody knows you. I don't need to ask fun facts. I don't need to.
No. I just want to always say it's my pleasure to be of service to the community of Ridgecrest. I'm enjoying doing it, and the support of Measure P is. I can't tell you enough. It's like putting fuel in the car. It's been fuel in the car.
Before we get to Measure P,
okay.
I'm gonna, there's.
But I love talking about Measure P.
The big elephant in the room, though.
Let me guess. Courts.
Courts.
Yeah. Courts is a very messy situation. I want to give the easy overview without trying to let the anger overview come into play, because there's a lot of anger,
right?
Especially from your city, the city representatives. This is an issue where a ambitious judge in the Kern County Superior Court, the presiding judge, or former presiding judge, Colette Humphrey. We were notified, we kind of got wind of this back in October 2021, that they were talking about possibly moving the courts around and moving Ridgecrest off of its priority position. And we reached out to her and we told her, no, we were vehement that we wanted public input and communication, and that didn't happen.
Well, that's a pretty staple service here in town.
Well, it's not only a staple service, it's an absolute critical element to our community. We could go down all of the reasons that this is a crazy idea. But the simple fact is...
crazy idea?
No, this isn't my crazy idea. This is a lot of backroom bad dealing, and bad dealing to the citizens of Ridgecrest. And I think that's what I want the biggest voice to be, is we have this positive outlook on all the things that we're doing and we talk about. And I have a positive outlook on the courts too. And I'm gonna spin the positive on this reason, which is we have now, in a resounding loud voice, reminded Kern County and Bakersfield of the importance of Ridgecrest in many, many fronts. And I want to thank Speaker McCarthy, Assemblyman Fong, Senator Grove, all 5 county supervisors, the DA, Cindy Zimmerman, Public Defender's Office, the city attachment, the city of Ridgecrest. We came out in force to remind the new presiding judge, Judge Bradshaw, who was very open. And I do want to compliment. It's not an easy thing to come out and to take slings and arrows, but he was a stand-up man and he did it. And I really now just put my faith in him understanding the importance of the national security elements of the Ridgecrest community, maintaining the Ridgecrest courts, and why it's so important that we not only maintain our courts, but more importantly is that we get put back in the position on a list. And I'm going to tell you the story.
We don't get forgotten at the little kid table.
Yeah, and I'm going to give the story I presented on Thursday at the event also when we were speaking, because I think it really helps the context. Is I said, I want you to imagine that you get in line for Disneyland to get on an important ride, and you're in the 10th spot, right? And every year you get to move up 1 spot to get to your ride. Okay. And we were at position 1. And the judge says, get out of line and wait, because now they said, we took your spot. Even though it's completely a travesty of justice and fairness and everything else, we want to keep our spot because we don't want to give it up now. We kicked you out of it. Now I'm in first position. I don't want to get out of it just because it's wrong and illegal and unfair and all of those above. And that's my point to Kern County is And important to note, this is Kern County Superior Court that has to run through the state of California. This isn't our supervisors or our city or anybody else that can change this.
Okay.
This is important. This is the state of California, California Judicial Council, and the Kern County Superior Court presiding judge. The simple fact is that what Ridgecrest is asking and demanding is that position be put back in line. I want a security guard to come over and say, no, he was in line, put him back where he was.
Okay.
That's all I'm asking. We don't want to undermine the Mojave court. Mojave needs work too. It was number 2.
But
you kicked Ridgecrest off, and now you want to say, okay, well, we'll leave you your courts, but we're not going to do anything to repair them. That is not an acceptable answer after waiting 10 years in line to get to this position, then to have a judge do a backroom deal when she knows that there's citizens that oppose this. She knows that the DA doesn't approve this, and make some blatant commentaries that were factually incorrect and ethically incorrect.
Okay.
And we're going to go to the mats with this. We are not going to back down one iota from getting Ridgecrest put back on that list, because we are in a resurgence. We're going to spend the next 20 minutes talking about all the good things.
So is there anything that the city residents can do to help voice concern, voice support?
How about we'll get back to you?
Okay.
Right now, I want to thank the 100 people that came out and spoke in force at the session last Friday. That was important. There were incredibly good comments made about unintended consequences and about access to justice and about how the human face was completely ignored. Those were fantastic comments and greatly appreciated. And in Mojave, we got a chance to speak about national security and the importance of Ridgecrest and China Lake. And all of those components now are in Judge Bradshaw's hands.
Okay.
Now, if Judge Bradshaw should make a decision that we don't agree with or doesn't support, then we have to be prepared to go further.
Okay.
It's that simple. We're not going to back off, because I don't think it's fair justice for somebody who worked all their way up to that line. And we know California is going to have some budgeting crises, and this doesn't mean that we expect it next year. But I just don't want to be circumvented from ever getting those new courthouses that were promised to us. And we waited our turn in line to get there.
And now just boot
And
it
now
up.
all of a sudden, we're out. That doesn't work. Ridgecrest is too important. Our community is too important, and we're growing. And the rest of the positive things we're going to talk about emphasize that growth of why it's so important that we cannot ease up on this battle. On top of that, Measure K, just one more thing. Measure K, I have the commitment from Sheriff Youngblood. He was working with our city to get our jail reopened, and any action like this that's contrary to our courts only further sets that back. We need our jail restored. We need our courts maintained.
Okay. So as you mentioned budget a little bit, you want to touch a little bit more
so
on that?
last Wednesday was our budget workshop.
Okay.
Really excited about the simple answer is anybody who watched was about 4 hours long. My favorite night of the year. They think I'm crazy because I love talking budget.
Numbers.
It's numbers, but it's also hearing the stories about what every department accomplished. And I would really encourage citizens to go back. I know it's long, but go back and listen to hear everything that our IT department, our Parks and Rec department, our Roads and Public Works department, our Finance department, hear what all these people have been doing for the positive direction of this community. It's thrilling to hear. And then we get the chance to have other conversations. We did a couple big things. The council had a couple small add-ons at the end. We added another mechanic to our Public Works department in order to make sure that we can keep all of our fleet vehicles running and our roads crews working at full speed as often as capable.
Well, that's necessary with all the upcoming projects.
Exactly. And more thinking ahead of time. We approved a small stipend again for the IWV TV boosters in order to make sure that free TV remains available for all of our citizens in the community if they need access to it. We also approved a real important program called Flock, which is the license plate reader program. And what that does is it's a national program that, we have Amber Alerts and we have other alerts that come through. This will allow us to be able to monitor license plates as they're driving through in or out of our community through sensors in town that are just looking at the license plate. They're not looking at the people. They're just looking at the license plates. But if you have a Bolo on 5H CCK69 and it drives through Ridgecrest, it'll flag. And this has been incredibly important. Anybody who tracked the tragic murder of the 4 students in Idaho, this is how they caught him.
Okay.
Was through license plate readers because they were able to track where his behavior had been. And so
And is it a real-time monitoring system?
it's a type of real-time monitoring system. It's
Okay.
a type of searching system where, if something comes up that's been flagged for alert, then it would key off.
I just want to make sure it's not flagging for alert, and then 2 hours later, it's like, oh, they're in Ridgecrest. Well, we all know.
Yeah.
2 hours.
and there could be things like that. But even then, we still know that they were in Ridgecrest, and we might be able to determine, were they in this neighborhood? Were they in that neighborhood? Were they doing this? And that's another huge improvement to public safety. And so we're really excited about the things that we were able to talk about. But more importantly, every single department, we were able to fund every single request for every single department and still do those things, in addition to the massive number of parks and rec projects that we still have in the pipeline and all of the road work we're continuing to do. We've got a great amount of opportunity, and we did all that while still maintaining our general fund reserves and our tax rolls and direction. That is Measure P in action. It really, really is. I've said many times when I was advocating for Measure P that people didn't understand it's fuel in the tank. And it's the difference between when you're trying to make decisions about budgeting and you're handcuffed by the limitations of it. We're not spending crazily.
It's the difference of can I make it on this quarter tank of gas, or I know I can make it with this full tank of gas.
And it's confidence, and it's opportunity, and it's taking advantage of the things that we know we need to do, and not just making excuses for why not to do them, but start to find the reasons for why to do them.
So we kind of mentioned roads in there too. So I'm just going to segue into roads and medians.
Yeah, she said that I would take about 3 minutes for that, and I took 10. She's like, "Oh my God, he's going to destroy my time."
No, you didn't. We chucked some stuff in the bucket.
Yeah, roads are working. Roads are
it.
going great. The big thing is, I think some people were wondering why we were doing so many of the little ADA build outs all over town. The curb.
Oh yeah.
We were way behind on ADA compliance.
If someone wants to look back, Travis, I think on the last 2 episodes that he was on, he mentioned those, especially in front of B of A and all those items.
And those are huge.
As we mentioned, Carmageddon briefly last time. So, Travis, I'm coming for you. You're coming back.
Carmageddon is still only a couple weeks away. It's not as bad as I originally thought, because for some reason I thought it was going all the way to the base, but it's actually just going from French to California. And so it'll be about I kind of imagine kind of like Ward was for about 3 weeks. It'll be the same thing where you'll be routing around China Lake Boulevard between French and California on the northbound side. You'll be routing around Balsam Street and then back out on the other side. Is it going to be problematic? Sure, it's going to be problematic. Are the people in the neighborhood going to be unhappy? Sure, they're going to be unhappy. But take a moment, stop, check out one of our Balsam Street
so all you
vendors.
all you base people, just keep that into account when you're heading into work.
or take a different arterial roadway. I mean, we know that we have to get it done. It's 75-year infrastructure work. It's queued and needs to move forward. They'll have Ward striped here very shortly too. I know a lot of people asked, why hasn't Ward been striped? We had one more build out that had to be completed in order to stripe it. So that's coming very shortly. And then Ward Phase 2 is coming next year, which will, and maybe even sooner than that. It might even hit the fall. But the bottom line is all of our roads projects are a reiteration of one thing we said. COVID slowed everything down in 2020 and 2021, and we all know it. We all dealt with it.
Yeah, we all felt those pains.
We all felt those pains. But the simple fact was we knew we were ready to go the first opportunity we got, and as season hit in 23, we were queued, ready, and rocking. And we are rocking through the roads right now, because immediately following the roads is coming the parks.
Before we get there, what about wastewater?
Wastewater is slated for 25. It's looking good.
Okay.
We're about 70%. I think we're even closer to like 90% design done. A lot of things people don't know about wastewater. We've been obviously collecting the fees for the wastewater plant now for a while, and we've got about 60% of the total cost, paid for.
Really?
So the debt servicing won't be terrible on the community. It's not gonna, we're not gonna build a $80 million plant and you're gonna have a, a massive increase to your waste, costs. There'll be an increase, of course, after, rate studies are completed and it's in place. There'll be an increase, of course, like anything when there's new. But the citizens have really done a great job of helping to advance that. And then we've been able to work on grants and other things to make sure that we're highly successful in it. And I think we're going to continue to move that direction.
Okay.
Another big thing that we did is we invested a huge chunk of that wastewater fund reserve at much better rates, at much more competitive rates. And we're going to see about $1.5 million of interest revenue just to help offset debt cost. That's incredible. That's simple work that we've been doing to make sure that we're running the city smartly. Not just everyone loves to say, running it like a business. No, we're not running like a business, but we're making smart decisions with the resources we have.
As we always have to do in our little
I
town.
hope so.
Measure P.
My baby.
Or do you want to talk about parks first?
Well,
I have two little off ramps here that I can go off.
Which drive? You drive.
Let's do Measure P. Let's go.
So Measure P, again, went into effect April 1st.
Mm-hmm.
I would argue that people have largely been accepting, and we appreciate that. I haven't heard huge clamoring.
I'll be honest, I didn't notice it up until literally 2 days ago.
Perfect.
On a receipt. And I was why does it say 9.25? And I was like, oh.
Measure P.
Measure P.
But more importantly is it's giving us the resources. So we've hired the officers. We've hired the animal control staff.
I saw one of them was just sworn in the other day.
Just sworn
our
in.
PD had an amazing post about that.
We're getting our officers in. We're getting our staff in. We're getting our community advocates in. We're getting our people in place. Mm-hmm. We will have expanded the city staff by about 7. But more importantly is we're getting more resources to our citizens through Measure P. And then on the flip side, we secured our fire contract. All those things are squared away.
Yep.
And of course, we're underway with our big project.
The pool.
Okay. So I do have this that I can confirm, which is we'd love to invite the citizens on June 20th. We'll be having our third Penny Pool Town Hall.
Oh, okay.
We will have conceptual drawings that we'll be showing there. I can tell you that the building massing and everything the work that's being done, I'm super impressed so far. We're working in time frame, in budget, and more importantly, in the right mindset for what is needed. And I'll give you a reason for that is when they were designing the buildings and the structure and the layouts and all those things, I think citizens would assume that we would put the pool design as the first priority.
And that's the main pool, like the competition pool,
the competition pool is the most important thing from design.
Okay.
It was not. The next thing people would say, well, then the building was the most important thing from design. Nope. We made the 2 priorities in design, the prevailing wind and shade.
Yes.
We started with a design premise that says, we understand these are unique environmental elements to this facility, and the facility has to adapt to those elements.
Well, I mean, no one wants to sit in the competition on burning biscuits.
Absolutely. And how do you make a better environment? You think it through in advance, and you work with what the important parameters are. And what happens so often is the important parameter that we put ahead of it is money, not what's right to build. And Measure P put us in the position to think about what's right to build rather than first do it as cheaply as possible. I've always said one of the biggest challenges Ridgecrest has had is always trying to do things on the cheap.
Right. And we all know that's just a Band-Aid that causes a bigger problem later on.
Right.
So back to Measure P, like real quick and the fun stuff.
Yeah.
When's Night on Balsam back?
Knob 3 will be in August.
Hi, Ron.
We have the joke of Night on Balsam. Great events. Thank you so much.
The last one was so much nicer to like room to breathe.
More room to breathe. And also adding things. We're trying to find the right balance. And it was such a great event. I mean, we had at least 5,000 to 6,000 citizens out.
I will admit I had to wait a little long for food, which was rough, but
there were more options than there was
a lot more
previous
options. Time. And will there be a survey again?
Yeah, the survey's already actually done. Feedback's already underway and rolling in, and we're already getting ready for the next one. And we're going to think about how an August date with we're looking at August. An August date will be a little bit warmer, obviously.
Yeah.
So do we start a little bit later? Do we change up what we were going to do? Do we have other aspects? We really want to make sure that then, do we theme these? Do we start to build, that the February was Valentine's Day and May was Memorial Day and, maybe August is about Ridgecrest. Maybe it's about
just you go next month to September to Labor Day. Just saying.
Yeah, or to the Parade of 1,000 Flags and patriotism.
Yep.
Yeah. The bottom line is we want to have great events for our community to come out, socialize, take advantage. And I know every single one of those balsam vendors and every single one of those food vendors are all thrilled and happy. And
well, and it was fun, and I liked this last one. Like, there was something to do for my whole family. Well, minus Olivia, but
minus Olivia, but
she had something to do. She just ate the whole time.
she just ate and was carried around by people. And she's adorable. Your daughter is adorable.
But I think like having the cornhole games and even having like Saracoso out there.
Yeah, the Jenga blocks and there was another cornhole toss, but and then one of the things that we've been really smart about Night on Balsam, and I think this is where when you start talking about the differentiation between what the city has done before and what the city's dedicated to doing forward, is we took the leadership role in Night of Balsam so that two things could happen. The food vendors could focus on serving food.
Yep.
And the shops could focus on
being the shops.
Being the shops.
Yep.
They didn't have to be in charge of the event.
Nope.
That was one of those flaws that we said, we're going to remove you having to be in charge of the event. We're going to take the lead. We're going to make sure that our cops are there. We're going to make sure that it's safe. We're going to make sure that we do all those things.
Well, and I think it puts like the wineries in charge of,
selling their wine.
Well, and who to sell to, who to still pour to, things like that. Which most shop owners, like sometimes it's like, I'm on that cusp, this or that, and they don't deal with it a lot. But you have people that constantly deal with it. So it's a safe event.
It makes for a safe, well-managed event where everyone can maximize either if they're a vendor, their opportunity, or if you're a citizen, your enjoyment.
Yep.
And that's what we really wanted to accomplish. And I think we're going to continue to do this for a while. So
speaking of family stuff, what about the parks?
Well, parks list is massive. I feel bad for Narissa because we keep seeming to put more on top of her.
Yeah.
Parks are going to be happening here probably the end of this year. You're going to start seeing the work at Leroy Jackson Sports Complex, and it's just going to start, and it's going to feel like a never-ending wave for about 18 months. It's just going to be wave after wave.
I drove that by the other day. I'm not going to lie, I had to go get some pizza from Domino's, but I saw the new shade structures that went up.
So the CDBG shade structures, and here I'm going to squelch one of the rumors. Why did you only do 2 of the fields? Well, because that's all the grant money was available for 2 of the fields. And we've already put the 3rd field in a future grant. So it's coming.
Yeah.
But the simple fact was that was the very first project I got to approve.
Really?
In January of 2021 after the election. So we had the election. We had that first Christmas, which was a COVID Christmas and was unbearable for all. As we still laugh around here about the COVID Christmas. And then we had, this was the first project that I approved in January, or this council approved in January of 2021. And it took until May of 2023 to get implemented. You have to understand these grant funds, the community development block grants, they are long processes. That was 2.5 years. So the skate park bench and shade structure and the upper softball fields are both CDBG block grant projects that are working their way through. The more rapid ones will be the Clean California projects, which are all the walking paths around Leroy Jackson Park, Leroy Jackson Sports Complex.
Oh, yes.
And then the ARPA projects, which will be the new pool in between the softball fields, between the upper and the lower softball fields, brand new pool, a brand new bathroom.
I was like, wait a minute, there's another
brand new bathroom.
Is it going to be a pond?
No, it'll be a brand new bathroom, but with connected walking path to the entire area.
So similar to Petroglyph Park, how there's walking paths to that one?
Very similar. It's the same type of style bathroom as what's over by Freedom Park, but there'll be walking paths. You will be able to it'll be a fully ADA compliant from one end of Leroy Jackson Sports Complex all the way to Leroy Jackson Park.
Oh, that'll be nice.
Again, this is wise planning. This is smart planning. The tennis courts being resurfaced, the lighting, there's so much art and Clean California all kind of coming together around Leroy Jackson Sports Complex.
And that's crazy because I remember when we first started all these shows and everything and bringing people on and talk about it, and it's so crazy to see it come to fruition. And
it's so close to coming to fruition. It'll be so exciting to see. And I think it's like the roads. There's this magic going on. And I'll close with my magic comment because I know there's some other questions, but I have a tangent I want to go on. So
you got about a minute and 30 seconds.
Well, then I'm going to go on my tangent. So here's my tangent: is first Measure V is, I just want to make sure everyone knows, Measure V is going to be coming up again in 2024. Mm-hmm. Measure V is not going to hurt anybody more than it already exists. You're already paying it.
So we're not going to see anything.
You're not going to see another increase.
Okay.
But we're looking to maintain that same 1% to make sure our roads and our police force is managed. And police funds about 18 of our officer positions, and it Measure V helps fund all the road work you've seen.
Okay.
So Measure V should be a slam dunk for this community because they're seeing the investment and they've seen what Measure V has been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
But the tangent that I want to go on is this new sense that I have after the courts and after some of the roads and after some of the other things that I've been seeing. You know, this community did its own harm in Trashgate 1. Okay? And what it did harm to is one of the best things about Ridgecrest is when Ridgecrest is working together to move forward, to accomplish things, to get motivated, to be in that positive space, we accomplish so much as a community.
Everyone can rally together really.
We are a rallying, incredible community. The 100 people that showed up at less than a week's notice, the number of letters that were submitted for the courts, and the fact that we were out there fighting so strongly for the courts with receipts in hand for the first time. We've been fighting this didn't just come up on us and we just kind of here's the dates. Here's the dates. We're fighting. I think we're earning back the respect of the Ridgecrest citizenship. I really do.
Well, and I think the communication you guys have been doing, the city of Ridgecrest has been doing as far as getting out on social media and different routes of how to get communication out and getting people listening and talking that way and help to get like 100 people out.
We said one of the things we had to fix was communication first, and we fixed it. And we continue to focus on it. We're going to do more with it. We're not done yet. You know, but you start talking to people where they're listening, and you start talking in real terms, and you're going to start earning back some trust. And I don't think we ever lost the trust of our citizens, but we lost that magical understanding that we as a community can do anything when we put our minds to it and when we work to accomplish.
Here's how I relate it. You have that stray dog that you're trying to gain its trust, and you keep slowly feeding it treats, and it gets closer and closer.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you're finally sitting on the side of the curb with that dog.
But I think we've earned that trust finally. And it's so great to see when I walk out at night at Balsam, people are saying, thank you. We appreciate this. We're having fun. Thank you. Keep up the good work. This is not about my ego. This is about the city of Ridgecrest coming back together as a community.
Well, and I think it's easier seeing all of the representatives out and being approachable and talking to. So.
Of course, all 5 of us being the way we are at yard sales or at this event or at that event, or, you know, we're willing to put that time in because we love this community. And I'm not speaking badly of previous councils. I'm simply saying that there was this trust loss that we lost because we kept giving the antagonistic voices volume, and we stopped giving them volume. And we started focusing on the positive and on the opportunities. And I've seen it so much over the recent couple months, especially seeing Night of Balsam and with the passage of Measure P. I can only say that thank you to this community so many times. But I think we really set the course for Ridgecrest in November 22 by saying we're going to invest in our community and we're going to make
and
Ridgecrest.
Making it happen so quickly.
Yep. And then us following through and getting it done within the first 100 days. We're going to deliver what Ridgecrest has been asking for us, and we're going to continue this direction well into 25 and 26. Assuming this council stays as it is and organized and all those wonderful things through. Nobody's looking forward to November 2024 election. Nobody. It'll be an ugly presidential election. But at the end of the day, I think we're all really focused. I want to put a huge complimentary word for City Manager Ron Strand. I have never seen that man work as diligently and as intelligently as he did during this court process. He delivered our arguments in a absolutely perfect way we would hope a city manager would, as an advocate for his citizens, but more importantly, bringing information and valid critical arguments to the equation. And then one more shout out to the sponsor of this program, which is Desert Valleys, and more importantly, Chairman Chip Holloway, who was one of the key speakers on that Friday morning at the courts. And his words about to the judge about the unintended consequences that you don't see because you're in a rush to accomplish somebody's personal goal was so resonating in that room. I cannot tell him thank you enough. And him giving the opportunity for this channel to exist and all those things, it helps immensely.
Thanks, Chip.
Yep. And thanks, Ron. You were awesome.
Yes.
It was an absolute incredible process to work with you over that week, but to see how strong and how professional he, this is somebody who was a police chief.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been in front of judges his entire life. But to see how he handled it so professionally, I was the emotional basket case and he was the rock.
Well,
that's how it worked. And it was very interesting to see.
I'm glad there was the yin to the yang.
There was.
Well, thank you for coming on today.
I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you for continuing to support getting these messages out to the community. And I promise you won't have to look at my face again for a while.
There was millions of nuggets, so now I need to go after all the people.
Go after all the people.
I'm sure they know that it's coming.
There's going to be lots and lots of cool stuff for this community. And we are on the road, citizens of Ridgecrest. We're on the road not only just to having a bigger, better, beautiful community, but we're on the road to continued economic development, continued growth, and more importantly, continuing to make sure that Ridgecrest remains the jewel it is to all of us.
So make sure to catch them tonight at 5 p.m. over on the City of Ridgecrest YouTube channel for the council meeting. 6 p.m. Sorry. You're watching me right now. It's 5-something right now. So 6 p.m. Sorry. Side note, 6 p.m. right after we're done. And then go see everyone at the next community event at the Ridgecrest Fireworks at the Desert Empire Fairgrounds.
Ridgecrest Fireworks are coming up. That'll be July 1st. And the city's proud to be a sponsor. Again, thanks to this help and support of Measure P, we can help support and sponsor these types of things. I think it's going to be a great fireworks program this year. I think it's going to be another great show. And
we're
I can't
excited.
wait to see you guys there.
All righty, guys. Have a good rest of the night. Bye.
Bye.